We have this gospel passage today of the man born blind. And he recognizes Jesus, who is the light of the world, although he cannot see. So he responds with the eyes of faith. And Jesus, taking his faith, performs this great miracle of giving him his sight, which he had never had before. The scribes and the Pharisees, of course, without looking on the good side of things, simply see that Jesus did this on the Sabbath and broke the law. But Jesus, although not dismissing the law, he himself is above the law. And so Jesus tries to teach through this action the power of God working in the lives of all. We celebrate today Laetare Sunday, the Sunday to rejoice, because Lent is halfway over. But more important, we rejoice in God's mercy, in God's power, in all the good things that God does for us. God moves beyond justice with his mercy and his forgiveness. This does not mean that there is not justice and that Jesus is not a just judge. So justice is not devalued or justice is not superfluous. On the contrary, anyone who makes a mistake must pay the price. There is a residue, so to speak, that remains after sins are forgiven, and it is for this that we atone. It is for this that God gives us the special graces we need to do better in our lives. However, this is just the beginning of conversion. When we turn to the Lord after we have failed in our sinfulness, then we begin to feel the tenderness and the mercy of God. God does not deny justice, rather he envelops justice and surpasses it with an ever greater event in which we experience love on the foundation of true justice. As St. Paul says in his letter to the Romans, "For Christ is the end of the law, that everyone who has faith may be justified in Jesus Christ." God's justice is his mercy given to everyone as a grace that flows from the death and the resurrection of Jesus in the great Paschal mystery which we will shortly celebrate in all the festivities of Holy Week. Thus, the cross of Christ is God's judgment on all of us and on the whole world, because through the cross of Christ and through the shedding of his blood, we are given the certitude of God's love and a new life to come. God's forgiveness knows no bounds. It's hard for us to imagine people that commit horrible crimes. Hard for us to imagine they can be forgiven of those crimes, and often we feel they should not be. But that is up to God and the individual sinner. We need to look at ourselves to see that in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, God makes ever more evident his love and his power to destroy all human sin. Reconciliation with God is made possible through the Paschal mystery and the mediation of the Church founded by Christ, and in the person of the Pope, successor of St. Peter, who holds the keys to forgiveness and to withhold God's forgiveness. The only reason a priest or anyone, bishop, hearing confessions, would withhold God's mercy is the person's refusal to do better. If one goes to confession and then at the end says, but I don't intend, this is what I've done, but I don't intend to change, well, God can't work against the human will, the free will. We have to cooperate with the mercy of God. And thus God wishes to impart his mercy and love, but God does not force that any time upon us. Thus God is always ready to forgive, and he never tires of forgiving in ways that are continually new and surprising. Nevertheless, all of us know and all of us experience sin and the effects of sin in our lives. We know that we are called to perfection, yet we often feel the heavy burden of our sinfulness. Though we should feel the transforming power of grace, we also feel the effects of sin typical to our fallen estate. God forgives our sins in the sacraments and imparts his special grace that we might grow in holiness and become righteous in his sight, if only we seek his mercy and forgiveness. To live the indulgence, then, of this holy year of mercy means to approach the Father's mercy with an open heart and with a spirit of contriteness, with the certainty that God's forgiveness extends to the entire life of the believer. To gain the special indulgence of the Church during this holy year is to experience the holiness of the Church, who bestows upon us all the fruits of Christ's redemption, so that God's love and forgiveness may be extended to everyone who seeks it. Thus, my brothers and sisters, let us live this Jubilee year intensely, begging the Father to forgive our sins and to bathe us in his merciful indulgence.